Hey, welcome back to the channel. Today I am thinking about what it is that I want to focus on next. I really want to get the horizontal stab going, and so I've got the space cleared to get started on that. But at the same time, I want to get everything, my primary objective was to get the fuselage to a state where I can get it varnished, and so I've got to get the gasculator mounted, and I have decided that I am going to put it in this region here. And I'm just waiting on my fuel shutoff that I'm going to use to come in, which I'll have tomorrow, to figure out exactly where I want to put it. So but back here in the rear portion of the fuselage, I want to get the pitot system, whatever mounting I need for that, in place. And then I've already got my hard points to mount my elevator trim. So I think what I'm going to do now is I'm going to make the bracket that holds the elevator control cable, and then I'm going to go ahead and get that put in here. I'll take the seat out and I'll get that in and get it connected to the bracket back here where it goes, and then I'll be able to see where that's going to lay, so then I can figure out how to route everything else that has to go back here and just get all that kind of buttoned up. And then that'll put me in a good spot there. And then when I get the gasculator mount in, and then up here I've got to get the figure out where I want my facet pump to go. I'm trying to decide. I think I'm going to not crowd any of the area on the outside of the fuselage, so I'm going to definitely put it on the inside, more than likely on this sidewall over here. And I want some place where I've got some decent access to it, but it doesn't look like I'm going to really get that. Gyro Jeffro, I believe I'm going to find myself inside this fuselage like you were talking about, where someone got maybe kind of stuck, but I know to work on that I'm gonna have to get in here and sort of figure that out. I'll take all this stuff out before I do that. I'll make some room for myself and get that. But getting clamps and things on the gasculator, I don't want it to be a huge hassle, but just working through this access hole, I just don't have, there's just not a lot of room, so I think there's no other way. You just got to get in there. So yeah, the only other option would be to keep it closer by, which I can do. I can actually, since I'm going to put the gasculator back here, maybe I can actually fit the facet pump right over here on the other side and still keep it close to, fairly close where it's easily accessible, and then I don't end up with a whole lot of things up in there. And then I've been thinking about, it's kind of hard to know where the battery's going to go until I can actually do a weight and balance. I'm going to use a lithium battery. It's not going to it's not going to be super heavy, and it's not like it's going to be able to, it's not going to be able to provide enough weight forward to offset a tail. So I feel like I may as well just go ahead and plan on where I'm going to put it for convenience sake and go from there. Another thing I have to do is I have the parts I need to make the roll cage part of the windscreen. So I'll be working on that this weekend as well, because I want to get that mounted here, so that I can start thinking about kind of what all that looks like, since it's part of the getting the fuselage all squared away. Yeah, there's a lot of things to do, but I will, let's see, let's get some aluminum out, get the Sharpie, get the combination square, and we'll start working on this. All right. All right, so this angle is located 7 inches forward, 7 inches forward of the tail here, and that is to the, I believe, the front edge. To the forward edge of the bracket. So I'm just measuring off the back here so I can get an equidistance, and then I'll be able to create a line here to keep this square to the rear. So it should be right there. All right. So this is the part of the drawing that we're working on right here. You've got the 7 inches is to the forward part of the bracket, which is here. So we'll get this kind of going, and we'll pull this piece of aluminum out and get this thing rocking. 5/8 diameter. Yeah. All right, so now what I have to do is there's a note to check this dimension, this overall dimension, against your own airplane. So I just need to go up inside and see what that dimension is. So that's just measuring I'll transfer the mark to the inside, and then it's actually just measuring between longeron to longeron across ways here, and we'll figure out where to do that. And then we'll test fit it first and make sure that it fits up in there before we go to the next step of actually we're just coming up with this width, and then we'll taper it after that. So okay, let me transfer those marks to the inside so I can actually see what I'm looking at. So it's like right there and right here. All right, I'll show you how I'm going to do this very scientifically. I am going to measure this way, and I can see, let me turn so I get some 16ths here. I can see, well, turn around this way. So I have 13/16 this side, and I've got to make sure I'm measuring to the forward edge, so I've got to measure this way. And 3/4 that way. And then in between is 2.5. So I've got 13/16, 3/4, and 2.5. Let's go figure that out. This is always one of those times when you think back to your high school teacher who said, you should really pay attention, because one of these days you're going to need all this. And you're thinking to yourself, there's no possible way I'm going to need all this. This is just my simplistic way of handling things like this. You know, I know that just because I've worked so much with a ruler, 13/16 is actually 6/8. 6 plus the 16th, and then I can break that down, and I know that that happens to be 6/8 is actually 3/4, so it's actually 3/4 plus the 16th. 3/4 is what it is 3/4, and 2.5 is what it is. So 3/4, and then I just add them up. I add up this one, this one, this one, and this one. I know this is probably really silly, because I'm sure all of you are like really smart math people, but this is just what happens in my head when I do this, just so you know. I don't know why I'm sharing this with you, but maybe some of you will laugh at it and enjoy the fact that, well, anyway, it is what it is. So these two combined is 1.5 inches. Whoops. 1.5 inches. So I have 2, 3, 4, and a 16th. So now I'm adding. So now I've got that handled. So that's 1.5 inches. So I've got this. Now I've got this one, and that one. So I know that 2.5 and 1.5 is 4, and then we add a 16th. So we get 4 and a 16th, and we'll see. We'll see how that works out. I could have just as easily done it on the ruler, just by going each of those pieces at a time, but this is how my head works. So hey, you get a look inside today. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to I'm still laughing at myself. That's what it looks like on paper, in case you were wondering. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually cut a piece of wood at 4 and a 16th, and I'm just going to use something scrap. No reason to start hacking away on an expensive piece of aluminum until you're certain. So I'm just going to cut one real quick and just test fit it in there and see, just make sure that it fits well. So all right, so this is my piece at 4 and a 16th, and I want to measure it because it's just a little scrap piece. So let's take a look here. It is, let's lay it on here. That might be better. You know what? Let's do it this way. So I am just a 32nd under 4 and a 16th. So let's see how it fits. So it actually fits perfectly right there. It's right on the line. So all right, so now I've got a piece that represents what dimension my aluminum has to be. So so when I get my piece, I'll be able to cut it to that size. Now what's very curious to me at this point is this is calling out for a bracket that is 5 1/4 inches, 5 1/4 inches wide, and I am way underneath that. So this has me scratching my head a little bit. So let's check this out. Oh, I know why. So since I edit my videos, I could just cut all that madness out and not even show it to you, and you wouldn't know any different. But here's what happened. The reason the bracket is a different size is because it actually goes underneath it goes under here, and so it's against the outside plywood. It gets bolted through the longeron. So instead of measuring in between here, all I had to do was measure 1/8 of an inch from the outside to account for the plywood on the outside. And then I have a measurement that is actually 5 1/4. So, and as you know, we'll test it, but this gives you a starting point of 5 1/4, but double check your own plane to make sure. And but hey, I'm gonna leave it all in just so you can have a good laugh on me. And anyway, I'll cut a test piece at 5 1/4 and we'll give that a shot. All right. All right, so I'm just sighting down here, and actually that worked out just right on the money. So 5 1/4 works out perfect. So how crazy is that? All right, so I'll grab the aluminum that I need, and then we can jump into getting that all marked out. All right, so the first thing we'll do is mark where we need to cut this so that it matches this piece, and then we'll actually give it a little test fit when we put it in. All right, we're going to run a test fit, and this actually works out to be perfect. So, all right, so that's our longest length, and now we have to mark for these tapers here. And our widest point on the front edge is actually 1 3/8 inches. So we're going to cut the front edge here down to 1 3/8 inches. And and we'll just take a quick measurement here to make sure we're 1 inch, 1 3/8 inches from this edge. It's going to measure down right here. 1 3/8 inches is right there, so that actually puts us right where we need to be. And looks like we're just going to leave the line. We'll just leave the line. When we cut it, we'll sand a little bit, and we'll go from there. So since that's our front edge, our top side is going to taper with the fuselage. So we will go figure out how to make that happen. All right, everything just got this lined up where it's kind of it's an equidistance on either side of our 1/8 inch lines, and then my distance here and here is actually really square. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here and make a mark 1/8 of an inch in to count for the side plywood, and then we will just going to make the first mark right on the edge. And then we'll go over and move that line over 1/8 of an inch. So this just gets me the outside right here. And I've got the same situation here. So this is my outside edge. And double check that real quick. Yeah, so then we'll, all we gotta do is move that line in 1/8 of an inch. That accounts for the plywood. We'll do the same on both sides. And then we just draw a line. Basically it's going to go like so from the outside edge here. So we're going to go from here to the outside edge over there. So we end up like that. Now I'll go cut these on the bandsaw, cut this on the bandsaw, and then that will be our piece that will go up in there. And I'll clean these up on the sander over here. And then we'll taper this piece. Actually, we should probably just go ahead and draw that now. It goes right from the center, so we are 5 1/4, so it's 2 3/8. 2 3/8. Nope. 2 5/8. And 2 5/8. And then this one's actually going to get tapered down to 1 inch. And I'll get these lines in place. And so actually, instead of cutting that line, we're going to cut this line. Then we end up with 1 inch here. We end up with 1 3/8 overall, which is great. And we got this one correct. This is just full size at 2 inches. And then we will we'll mark some holes. All right. So I got my piece sanded and got a really good fit now. So that just drops right in there, and if anything it might just be just a touch tight, so I might just hit this on the sander just a little bit more. What I'm thinking through how this gets attached. Basically the holes are 5/16 from the edge, 1 1/4 apart. So it starts off 5/16, 5/16. So this one's sort of in the corner, and that 5/16 should probably centers it up on the 5/8 longeron, which it does. So what I'm trying to think through how those holes get drilled, and there's no way to get to it from the bottom this way. That's just not going to happen. So I think what I'm actually gonna what I'm actually going to end up doing here is I'm going to get this in position where it belongs, and then I'm going to clamp one side, and then I'm going to come over and I'll just figure out a way to clamp the whole thing. I'll probably just put a piece in here somehow so I can clamp it, but anyway, I'm going to get a clamp on it, and then when I do, I'll be able to I'm going to use a block. I'm going to use a block on top of here, and I'm going to drill down from the top. I'll measure over the distance that I need to, which is going to be the 5/16 plus an 1/8, because we got to account for the outside edge. I'll get it located off of my lines, and I'm going to clamp it. I'm going to actually drill down from the top. I think that's the best way to guarantee alignment. I could try something else, but getting it aligned is not going to be very easy. So I like this idea a whole lot better. So I think I'll get these 3 holes in it. It gets a 5/8 hole in this location, which is actually for the elevator cable, control cable, and then this is actually for the seatbelt cable that comes all the way back and wraps around this location. You can kind of see how that works right here. The cable comes back, goes in a hole around this back part, and then back up back up and out of there. So I will do that, and that will be fine. So the first couple holes are going to be 1/4 inch, and I've got those measured off according to the drawing and center punched, so those are ready. And then we have this hole to drill, which is actually a 5/8 hole, which we'll drill with the hole saw. But first we'll drill these 2 1/4 inch. These will get deburred really good, nice smooth edges, because that's where the shoulder harness cables actually come through there. It makes a loop around the control cable. You'll see that later. But first we'll drill these 1/4 inch holes and get that handled. All right. All right, now we'll flip it over and we'll drill our other hole. And you can see I'm just using the slot here for the aluminum to fall into, and I just move it over so I've got some adjustment room. I have a lot here actually, so I may have to go all the way to the edge to accomplish this one. All right, that gives me plenty of room. All right, there we go. Now I just drop my deburring tool, which is just a big countersink, into my screwdriver and get these burrs off of here. This works out really good. Now they're nice and smooth. Do the same for the 1/4 inch here. Deburr those. Now with those, I'm actually going to get just a little more aggressive with it, because I want a nice smooth edge on there. See if I can show you what that looks like. I'm gonna try anyway. There you go. You can see it right there. Just a nice edge on there, so that cable can come in and out of there, and it makes a nice smooth edge on these as well. So, all right. So that part of the bracket is done, and now we can go to the next step. All right, so I'm going to use a similar method that you've seen me use before, just recently. What I've got here is I've marked out my 1/8 inch for my outside material, and then I have my 5/16 over, 5/16 this way, 1.25 inches between, and the same 5/16 over from my 1/8 inch line. And now I'm going to just center punch these. Like so. I forgot I have a piece of epoxy under here that I've got to clear out real quick. It's just getting in the way of my bracket, so. All right, so the procedure here is like I've done before. I'm going to use my 3/16 drill bit, and I'm going to drill part of the way through. This allows me to easily locate this hole. I'm not going that far about the depth of the 1/8 inch material, really. Then we're going to position our clamp, and we're going to position our piece, or not our clamp, right, so we're just on our line here, right where we need to be. Which is like right there. And we'll double check it. Just put this on 7 inches. And we'll just check from the front edge of it how we're doing. That's where we want to be. So I'm going to take and I'm going to clamp this side in place. So we're going to let that side be held by the clamp. And then I've made myself just a drill guide. So what we'll do is we'll get this so that it falls in the hole. Like so. And then I'll be able to use that to drill all the way through. I decided to clamp the back side of that, so. All right, so the first one, I'm gonna actually put a bolt in. All right, so we got that one in. And, now we'll take our drill guide and we'll drill the next one. All right, so that's mounted and looks good. So now we can grab our elevator cable and pull it out, and we will try to fit it in place. All right, let me get it. All right, so we got our cable here. Now we just need to route it. All right, so I'm gonna start in the back actually and work my way forward. All right, so we'll get some nuts apart here. All right, so let's take this off too while we're at it. Through there. And we'll just pick something in the middle for now. Slide the nut on. There's a whole safety kit with this, which I didn't get. If you're ordering one, I don't know if they've adjusted it yet. The website actually said that that it came with it, but it didn't. It's just some clear tubing and some hose clamps, which is required. You'll see that on the plans that safety kit is actually required, so you don't want to forget that. I'll probably just, I mean, I can buy it from Team, but you know, at this point, they were going to send me one since it was listed that way, but it's really no big deal. It's just a couple. It's really inexpensive. So, all right, so we've got that in place, and now we'll go sail here. Now we'll go back here and take a look, and what I wanted to see is, I guess it doesn't really matter if you're over or under this member right here because you're so close to either, really. So I'm going to take this off the back side. Same, figure out where I need it. Washer on. Throw this guy on. No need to go more than finger tight at the moment, so this is just to figure out where supports and stuff are going to go. Alright, so it looks to me like got way more cable than is really necessary. I'll show you here. I've got quite a loop in there, and everything is where it's supposed to be here, so that's not a problem. Perhaps this cable needs to come up here and attach, and then up here and attach, and then probably on the top side up here. I'm not completely sure, but this looks like it's close. Maybe this one should have been on the top side instead of the bottom side. Now that I see it in this configuration, I think that's probably the case. Maybe under the first one, over the last three. Hey, if your cable had this much slack, let me know. I'd like to hear. So I'll figure out how to get this mounted. I mean, I know I'm going to mount it, but yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and reconfigure this real quick, and I'll be right back. All right, I was just going to show you real quick how the fork assembly works before I actually put it in there. You have a piece of 5/16 by 058 tubing that you cut to size that fits right in between the two vertical pieces on the stick, and that goes in, so it goes through the metal piece, and then this goes inside this fork. So it just centers up on this piece, and then you slide it in between the two tangs, and then this goes on like so on each side. So I'll go stick that in real quick, and then I'll show it to you. All right, so this you can see how that assembly works here, how it's fitted in there, and it's really nice and smooth. And eventually I will grind a little bit of this off to get the proper amount of up elevator once the elevator is in position and is actually set. And it looks like I'm going to be probably pretty close to right there, maybe just a touch more. I can't imagine the jam nut would be much further back than that. I can always move the whole assembly forward or back depending on with the nuts here. Right now they're just at close to the stops on the back side. I will create some standoffs and clamp situation to get the cable held in position off of either off of the diagonals or off of these top members. Yeah, this turned out really well, and it's it's super smooth. so we can go from there. All right, so that's going to be it for me today. We'll work on something else tomorrow, and we'll probably work on the standoffs for that, and we'll get some other things going. But it's good to get that bracket done. So, hey, as always, I'll catch you later.